Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like something was wrong, but you couldn't quite explain why? Maybe your stomach felt tight, or your chest heavy, and even though no one yelled or cursed, something in you whispered, that wasn't okay. That feeling? It matters. And you're not being dramatic. You're not being sensitive. You're not overreacting. You might be getting manipulated. Sometimes, the most painful manipulation doesn't look like rage or insults. It looks like calm voices. Fake concern. Guilt wrapped up as love. It sounds like, I'm just worried about you. I didn't say that, you must have misunderstood. You're being too emotional. Sound familiar? I once had a woman tell me that after every visit with her daughter, she'd go home and cry in the car. Her daughter didn't scream or slam doors. Instead, she made little digs. Commented on her mother's memory, her weight, her need for help. Always with a smile. Always just trying to help. And when the mother finally pushed back, her daughter looked hurt. Said, I was only trying to love you. That's not love. That's manipulation wearing a polite face. And if you felt this, especially from someone you trusted, someone you raised, or someone you loved deeply, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not imagining it. And you are not wrong for feeling hurt. Emotional manipulation, especially from those closest to us, can be incredibly subtle. And the more emotionally mature we become, the easier it is to question ourselves. To doubt our reactions. Because we were taught to be gracious. To keep the peace. To give people the benefit of the doubt. But sometimes, what we call keeping the peace is actually swallowing our pain. Maybe you had a partner who constantly forgot things you asked for, but remembered every detail that benefited them. Or a sibling who said, you always make things about you, whenever you tried to express a need. Or a manager who used phrases like, you're such a team player, every time they dumped extra work on your plate. And every time you brought it up, they made you feel like you were the problem. That's not you overreacting. That's a pattern. And patterns tell the truth. One of the hardest things about emotional manipulation is how it makes you doubt your own mind. You start rehearsing conversations in your head, asking friends, was that rude? Am I being petty? Should I just let it go? But here's something I wish someone had told me years ago. If it hurts you repeatedly, it's not petty. It's a message. Your body is wiser than you think. That knot in your stomach? That tightening in your chest? That sinking feeling when a certain number shows up on your phone? Those are signs. Real ones. And you don't need anyone else's permission to name your pain. You might be someone who's done a lot of inner work. Maybe you've read the books, seen the therapist, journaled your heart out. And still, certain people make you feel small. Confused. Guilty for just existing. Let's pause here and breathe for a second. You are not failing. You are not weak. You are waking up. Waking up to the truth that manipulation doesn't always look cruel. Sometimes it looks nice. Polished. Even sweet. But underneath, it chips away at your peace, your power, and your voice. And no one has the right to control you through guilt. You get to have boundaries. You get to say, that doesn't feel good to me. You get to leave a conversation without explaining your entire emotional history. It can feel scary at first. Especially if you're over 60 and you've spent your whole life being the helper, the peacekeeper, the one who holds the family or the team together. But here's what I see in you. You are stronger than you've been taught to believe. Not because you tough everything out, but because you're learning to trust yourself. And when you start trusting yourself, really listening to those gut feelings, those emotional bruises, you stop asking, am I overreacting? You start asking, what am I tolerating that's hurting me? That shift? That's power. Let it settle in for a moment. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they're nice. You don't have to accept their version of the story just because they say it calmly. You are allowed to protect your peace. Even if that means disappointing someone who's used to controlling you with a smile. Even if that means walking away without a perfect explanation. Even if it's someone you love. Sometimes, the manipulation is so quiet, you don't even notice it, until you start second-guessing your own feelings. You tell someone they hurt you, and they respond with, "You're just too sensitive." Or they say, "That's not what I meant, why do you always take things the wrong way?" Sound familiar? Let's talk about that kind of gaslighting. The kind that makes you doubt your memory, your tone, your reaction, even when deep down, you know something felt off. I remember a woman, let's call her Linda, who told me her adult daughter would say things like, "I'm just trying to help you," after clearly crossing a boundary. Linda would feel uncomfortable, even disrespected. But then she'd spend hours wondering if maybe she really was just being too rigid. She wasn't. She was being manipulated. See, emotional manipulators often frame their behavior as kindness, care, or concern. They'll say they're looking out for you. That they're just being honest. But here's the test: does it leave you feeling small, confused, or like you have to apologize for reacting? That's not love. That's control. And it's so easy to fall into this trap when you've been raised or conditioned to prioritize peace over your own truth. Especially for women over 60, many of us grew up being told to smile, to keep the peace, to be agreeable. We weren't taught to say, "I don't like how you spoke to me." But here's the thing, feeling hurt doesn't mean you're overreacting. It means something needs attention. Let's take another example, a romantic partner who gives you the silent treatment when you express your needs. Maybe you say, "I wish you'd text me back more often, I feel ignored," and suddenly, they go cold. They stop calling. They act distant. Then, when you bring it up again, they say, "I needed space, you're always so dramatic." That's emotional withdrawal used as punishment. Not healthy communication. Not respect. If you've ever felt like you had to tiptoe around someone's moods or reactions just to avoid an emotional fallout, you weren't overreacting. You were adapting to manipulation. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means you were trying to survive something that didn't feel safe. One powerful step toward healing is learning to trust your gut again. Your feelings are signals, not problems. If something hurts, it matters. If you feel dismissed, ignored, or belittled, it matters. Try this: the next time someone says, "You're overreacting," pause. Breathe. Then say, "I may feel strongly, but that doesn't mean my feelings aren't valid." It might not change their behavior. But it starts to change the way you show up for yourself. And that matters deeply. Especially now. Because you've spent enough time trying to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. This part of your life, this chapter, it's about reclaiming your peace, your voice, your truth. You are not too emotional. You are not imagining it. You are not overreacting. You are waking up. And there is so much healing waiting for you on the other side of that truth. Let's keep going. You've spent enough time second-guessing yourself. Enough time wondering if maybe you were too sensitive. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you should just let it go. Again. But let's be honest. That little voice inside you, the one that said, "Something's not right," wasn't wrong. It was wise. And it was trying to protect you. When someone says something that hits you like a slap, but they smile while they say it, that's not your imagination. When someone tells you they only say these things because they love you, but you walk away feeling small, anxious, or ashamed, that's not love. That's control, dressed up as care. And here's the truth, real love doesn't make you feel crazy. Real love doesn't twist your words or leave you walking on eggshells. It doesn't punish you with silence or backhanded compliments. Real love makes room for you. For your feelings. For your voice. For your boundaries. So if you've been stuck in that cycle of doubting yourself, apologizing for things that weren't even wrong, explaining your tone, your face, your mood over and over, just know, it's not because you're broken. It's because someone trained you to believe their comfort matters more than your truth. And unlearning that isn't easy. Especially after 40, 50, 60 years of putting other people first. You may feel like it's too late to change. Like you should just keep the peace, especially in family or romantic relationships. But let me tell you something. It's not too late. It's right on time. You don't have to scream. You don't have to fight. But you can choose peace over performance. You can say, "That doesn't sit right with me," and let the silence hang without rushing to fill it. You can trust that your feelings are real, and they matter. Because if they only care about you when you're quiet, agreeable, and easy to manage, that's not love. That's convenience. You are not here to be convenient. You're here to be seen, heard, and respected. If someone tries to convince you otherwise, if they twist your words or say you're too emotional, when you try to speak your truth, take a breath. And remind yourself, I'm not overreacting. I'm responding to disrespect. And maybe for the first time in years, let that be enough. You're not alone in this. So many women, especially those of us over 60, were raised to keep the peace, to smile through it, to be easy to love. But now? We're learning to love ourselves more than someone else's comfort. And that is powerful. So whether it's your partner, your adult child, a sibling, or someone at work, remember, you're not too old to set boundaries. You're just getting started. Every time you choose honesty over people-pleasing, you're building a life that feels like home, not a performance stage. You deserve peace. Not confusion. Not shame. Not subtle digs masked as concern. Just peace. And you can have that. You really can. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. You're not invisible. Your experiences matter. And when you share, other women feel a little less alone. If this helped in any way, feel free to like or subscribe. It tells the algorithm that stories like ours matter, too. But most of all, be gentle with yourself. Healing takes time, but you've already taken the first brave step, seeing things clearly. You are not too sensitive. You are finally seeing the truth. And that, my friend, is your power. There's no timeline on healing. No right way to unlearn years of being doubted, dismissed, or emotionally bent out of shape just to keep others comfortable. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you might question yourself all over again. That doesn't mean you're going backwards. That means you're human. And healing isn't a straight line, it's a returning. Over and over, to yourself. To your truth. To your worth. To your voice. Maybe no one ever modeled this kind of boundary setting for you. Maybe you grew up around people who taught you that love meant keeping quiet, not rocking the boat, and always being the one who understood. But now, you get to teach yourself something new, that love, real love, doesn't require self-abandonment. It doesn't feel like guilt in your chest or fear in your throat. It feels safe. It feels mutual. It feels like you matter, too. You're allowed to want that. You're allowed to stop settling for anything less. And if you've been told that setting boundaries is selfish, or that speaking up is too much, I want to gently offer this. It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's not too much to ask for respect. And you are not dramatic for wanting to feel emotionally safe in your relationships. You are just finally starting to see clearly what manipulation tried to blur. So keep listening to that little voice inside you. Keep choosing honesty over appeasement. Keep honoring the version of you who spent too many years second-guessing her own reality. You're not here to make everyone else comfortable. You're here to live fully. To love freely. And to stop apologizing for things that were never your fault in the first place. And if no one's told you today, I'm so glad you're here. I'm proud of you for noticing. For naming. For choosing something different. Because the truth is, you were never overreacting. You were just finally waking up to the fact that what you've been calling love was control in disguise. And now, you're choosing something better. You. Always you.